it's a much different view from here than the tables. It's wonderful to look out and see everybody. Thank you all for being here. Authors and all participants, and we love it. This is the Children's Book Award Luncheon, in case you're checking if you're in the right place. And this is the first Children's Book Award of this format. In the past, it was thank you all for being here. Authors and all participants. This is the Children's Book Award Luncheon, in case you're checking if you're in the right place. And this is the first Children's Book Award of this format. In the past, it was authors and all participants. Hard for me to get hearing my own echo. Okay, so first, there are members of the elementary section steering committee who are here. So rather than call out their names, including the reps at large, I would like you all just to stand so we can acknowledge it. Thank you so much for all your great service. Our current NCTE president is here with us. That's Kathy Short, and I would like her to stand. We'll see she has a big part in Charlotte Huck Board. Well, if there are other past presidents of NCTE who are in the room with us, will you please stand? We have a new wonderful executive director of NCTE, and that is Emily Kirkpatrick. And could you stand so we can? So in the coming years, you will get to know Emily very well. We are now going to honor the authors who are here with us, and the publishers who are with us as well. And we want to thank you very much for participating.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the fun part of our presentation. So if you have something special you'd like to do at your table, you can stand up, shake your screen, and show your love for the author and publisher at your table. Feel free to do that. The more creative, the better, but we'll keep going through, so get it down fast. All right. Okay. We'd like to start by recognizing this craft. Candace Fleming from Random House. And Martin from Bell and Friends. From England, Young Readers. From April Books for Young Readers. Gilbert Ford from Health Commission and Hardcore Place. Tommy Alexander from Health Commission and Hardcore Place. James Ryan from Urban Books for Young Readers. Melissa Street from Urban Books for Young Readers. Kimberly Willis Holt from Sonoma Children's Sarah Lisenthal from Roy Parker. David Bell from April Books for Young Readers. John Coy from Merle.
names, Trevor Price from Gateway, Tanya Golding from Gateway, Sylvia Bardell from Melbourne, Janet Mom from Melbourne, Nancy J. Kavanaugh from Sourcebooks, Ryan Clarka from Simon & Schuster, Allison McKee from Simon & Schuster, Margaret Peterson Pattis from Simon & Schuster, Hester Bass from Candlewood Press, Matt Tavares from Candlewood Press, Larissa Moss from Preston Books, Catherine McCutcheon from KO Kids Books, Ellen Prager from Mighty Media Press, Don Tate from Peachtree Publishers, J.K. Johnson from Peachtree Publishers. Again, thank you all for joining us and being here. It's a great honor for us.
Now we'd like to start the awards presentation. We're going to begin with the poetry award, and I'd like to invite Nancy Hathaway to please share. Marilyn Singer is the recipient of the 2015 NCTE Award for Excellence in Children's Poetry, given every 2 years to a living American poet in recognition of his or her aggregate work. Marilyn joins a distinguished group of poets that NCTE has recognized since 1977. She's published over 100 books for children and young adults in different genres, including more than 30 poetry collections. Her work has earned numerous honors, such as the Civil Award for Poetry, and has been selected to the NCTE Children's Literature Assembly Notable. Her poetry addresses a range of topics and reflects various poetic forms. She even created her own poetic format, the Reverso. While Marilyn enjoys writing across genres, she's particularly drawn to poetry, noting, like a great photograph, a great poem can capture a moment in time. It is evocative. It can have an element of surprise, of mystery. It can make you slow down and think. It can be silly and make you laugh. Please join me in welcoming Marilyn Singer and congratulating her on this wonderful.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everybody. I am thrilled with this work. I'm thrilled to be here. As soon as I get my glasses on, I'll actually be able to see this. When I was a little girl, my parents would read to me a lot, and they would also sing to me the songs that they'd grown up with and the hits of the day. Now, I wasn't great at memorizing poetry, and I'm still not, including my own, but I was and am good at remembering lyrics. During the summer, my family and I would leave our sweltering Bronx apartment for a resort in the Catskill Mountains. Every afternoon, I would stand on a dark, empty stage and sing those songs into a dead mic. One night, there was some family program, cartoons or something. And after it ended, the MC said, now we're going to have a special treat. Little Miss Marilyn Singer is going to sing for you. The problem was nobody had told me about this special treat, so I promptly burst into tears and ran out of the auditorium. Today, I have decided to rectify that situation and sing for you one of my favorite songs from that time, Babyface, music by Harry Axe, lyrics by Benny Davis. So here it goes. Baby face, you got the cutest little baby face. There's not another one to take your place. Baby face, my good heart is jumping. You should have started something, baby face. I'll be in heaven when I'm in your fond embrace. I didn't need a shot, 'cause I just fell in love with your pretty baby face. All right, why did I just do that? What does that have to do with poetry? Well, the answer begins with why did I like that song? It was cheerful, it was upbeat, it wasn't too complicated. What did I think it was about when I was 3 years old? Babies, cute little babies. Then I got older and I realized, no, it's not about babies, it's a love song, a guy and gal singing to a sweetheart. Older still, reading poetry at school and at home, and writing poetry, which I was beginning to share with others, I started thinking about the lines in the song. I'm up in heaven when I'm in your fond embrace. That wasn't such a brilliant line. It was a cliche, something I learned about in school. But I didn't need a shove because I just fell in love. That was a great line. Fresh, sassy, in the vernacular, which is another word I probably learned at school or from one of the many books I was constantly reading. That's how I began to look at all lyrics and all poems, including the ones that I've been writing since 3rd grade and was continuing to write through high school and college. Although it took me a while to be as ruthless with my own stuff as I was with other people's, and that was with the help of friends, family, teachers, my wonderful husband, Steve Aarons, who was my toughest critic, and later on, editors. After college, when I became a high school English teacher, my own developmental process was what I used to encourage my students to appreciate poems and lyrics. In the classroom, I taught both of these art forms with gusto. I wanted my students to enjoy poetry, not fear it. I wanted them to find it exhilarating, not dull. I read the poems aloud so they could revel in the sound, the rhythm, the musicality. Because poems, like lyrics, have to have musicality, even if they don't rhyme. I told them, go ahead, enjoy the choice of words, the pictures they evoke, feel whatever you feel about the piece, then figure out what it's about. Once you do that, you can look more closely at the lines, specifically the words and images. Which do you think worked? Which don't? What feels fresh? What feels stale? What excites you? What's mysterious? And is that okay? Ask yourself, do I have to understand everything with my head? Can I grasp the essence of something without having to explain it? Experience that aha moment that poetry especially can offer. That friendly process encouraged me to appreciate other people's work and to create my own. I write in many different genres, but poetry is my favorite thing to write. I'm interested in lots of things, so my poems are about many different topics, from the presidents in Brotherhood B, BBC, and their first ladies in a new book coming out in 2017 from Disney Hyperion, to nursery rhyme characters in Miss Muppet, or What Came After, which will be out next fall from Clarion, to social dances, kids' games, New Year's celebrations, B-list superheroes, extremophile animals, and a host of other subjects. I'm also fascinated by different styles and forms. When I started writing poetry back in 3rd grade, I thought everything had to rhyme. A teacher told me about free verse, and I thought I would try it, and I promptly wrote a paragraph about Williston. It took me a while to learn what free verse really is and to explore other forms. That experimentation led me to create what I think is a new form, the reverso, featured in my books Mirror Mirror, Follow Follow, and forthcoming Echo Echo, based on Group Yes, which will be out next spring, all from Clarion. For those of you unfamiliar with the form, a reverso is one poem with 2 halves. You read the first half down, and then you read it with the lines reversed, with changes only in punctuation and capitalization. The second half has to say something completely different from the first half, or it is what one blogger's kid called a same-o. And by the way, it was Steve who came up with the word reverso, so I thank him for that. I'm going to read you one reverso. Some of you may have heard this poem. If you have, I hope you enjoy it again. It's from Mirror Mirror, and it's based on Little Red Riding Hood, in the hood. The first figure is Little Red, and you can figure out who the second figure is. In my hood, skipping through the wood, carrying a basket, picking berries to eat, juicy and sweet. What a treat! But a girl mustn't dawdle. After all, Grandma's waiting.
Can I dance it? Okay. All right, here we go. Mr. Ferris and his Separate is never equal. Sylvia Mendez and her family's fight for desegregation. Written and illustrated by Duncan Flanatia, published by Abrams Books for Young Readers. And that was Jason Wells. That was Jason Wells, Abrams, and Jason Wells. Star, and the last honor book is Star Trek. Carl Sagan and the Mysteries of the Cosmos, written and illustrated by Stephanie Roth-Sisson, published by Roaring Brook Press. The 2015 NCTE Orbis Pictus Award for Outstanding Nonfiction winner is The Family Roman. Murders, Rebellion, and the Fall of Imperial Russia, written by Candace Fleming, published by Schwartz and Wayne. Murder, intrigue, and suspense await readers of this year's captivating Orbis Pictus Award for Outstanding Nonfiction winning book. Candace Fleming is known for her well-written, meticulously researched nonfiction, several which have been recognized in the past as Orbis Pictus honor books, including Amelia Lost, The Life and Disappearance of Amelia Earhart, and The Lincolns, a scrapbook look at Abraham and Mary. The 2015 Orbis Pictus Award winner, The Family Romanov, illustrates once again Fleming's ability to craft an engaging and insightful look into history as she focuses on the last Tsar of Russia and his family. The exciting narrative, coupled with archival photographs, are supported by over 25 pages of Fleming's source notes. On behalf of the members of the committee, it is my honor to present Candace Fleming with the 2015 Orbis Pictus Award for Outstanding Nonfiction for The Family Romanov.
Look at all of you out there. Sitting up here with my back to you. I'm just overjoyed this afternoon to actually be standing here, sharing this with so many people that I know in the room. I have so many friends here, new friends, old friends, and I really love the fact that I'm standing here because I have a little bit of a confession. I've long held the books Pictus in high esteem, not just because it demands that nonfiction for young readers be accurate and well organized, but because it seeks out books that are both passionate and enthusiastic. Curiosity and wonder encouraged. That's actually a quote from the criteria. Curiosity and wonder. Isn't that great? And it's where all stories start. So, allow me to tell you one. 2 Novembers ago, when I was in the final, dithering, self-doubting phases of my latest nonfiction project, I decided I needed to escape to a movie. I needed to clear my head. I needed to relax. I needed to escape from the book that I'd spent years on. I needed to think about anything but that book. It was so different from anything else I'd sent out to the world. And I was worried. What if the world hated it? Worse, what if nobody cared? What if enough? I went and bought a ticket to film the end. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, you know it's coming, right? For those of you who haven't seen the movie, it's about a woman who 50 years earlier had given up her son for adoption. And in her search to find him, she enlists the aid of a former BBC correspondent. He's reluctant, and he keeps announcing throughout the course of the movie that he has other plans. He's going to write a book about Russian history. He tells his plans to the doctor, who yawns and suggests a better use of his time. Jogging. He announces his plans to a handful of colleagues at a cocktail party, and one of them hoots, "No one's worried about my Russian history." And he even tells Felina, the movie's sweet, utterly honest heroine, who responds with raised eyebrows and an earnest, "But who is interested in that?" I choked on my raisinets. It was the very question, that was the very question that had been nagging me about this close to completed book, a book to which I committed years, a book I was sending to my editor, Ann Schwartz, in 1 week's time. A book about Russian history. Who is interested in that? Narrative is chronology. This happens, and the other thing happens, and then something else happens. All our lives are narrative, usually a rather confusing version of it. Story is something else. It's taking parts of that narrative, separating them from everything else, and arranging them so they have meaning. And all of us in this room know that meaning is intrinsic to storytelling. As a nonfiction writer, I try to bring meaning to history. I search for meaning in real lives and true events from the past. I know that if I can find human meaning, that I will connect with my readers and be able to say something important, perhaps about the way we live today, through that time. In order to do this, I focus, like a fiction writer does, on plot and character. Now, I only have a little time for the podium today, so I'm going to spare you the plot of the family Romanov. Suffice it to say, it's this Gordian knot of mysticism, war, romance, revolution, three revolutions, and more. Instead, I'd like to focus on character, one character in particular, the Empress Alexandra. When I began this project, I wanted to see her, hear her, smell her, feel her world on my skin, and I wanted my readers to see her, hear her, feel her world on their skin too. And one way to do this, at least for me, is through small moments. Some might even call them mundane moments. It's those dinner table conversations and receipts and shopping receipts that draw us directly into the lives of people from the past. Intimate and authentic because they are so human. They are the very stuff of life. Those small moments allow us to peek into a person's heart and mind. And in doing so, they change what we think we know about history. And so, for 3 years, I mined history's rubble, searching for vivid, revealing glimmerings of Alexandra's true self. And I dug up details from her world. I teased out family moments, and slowly I accumulated a wealth of those nuggets. Many of them were just mere flecks of gold, but they were oh so revealing. For example, from GARF, the Archives of the Russian Federation, I got a copy of the affidavit left behind by one of Alexandra's chambermaids. And in it, the girl recalled changing the Empress's bed linen every day because, she said, the Empress had a fondness for English biscuits, which she consumed between the sheets while reading late into the night. Isn't that so? Okay, so I'm going to show my nervousness right here, because I'm going, that's so great. It's so great. Crops in the bed. It's so human. I get it, right? Months later, I came across this complaint written by a children's nurse. The children's nurse, she was writing to friends back in England, her family back in England, and she wrote, nasty and snappish, the little brute Eva rests at the foot of the bed, receiving tastes of the Empress's favorite biscuits, like some ill-tempered princess. I'm like, that's so great. Those puppies again. And a crabby dog. More glimmerings, more excitement for me. A friend of the Empress's, Lily Dunn, provided this intimate glimpse. In her memoir, she wrote, the Empress had 6 dressers, but none of them ever saw her undressed. She bathed unassisted and slipped on a Japanese kimono of silk over her undergarments when she was ready to have her hair arranged. She did not countenance the flimsy and theatrical of her lingerie, although her underwear was of the finest linen, beautifully embroidered, but otherwise plain. Isn't it amazing that you can blow out of the bubble? I felt as if I'd snuck into Alexandra's room, peeked into her bathroom, rifled around in her underwear drawer. Who says that research isn't exciting? And I piled up a lot of home descriptions too, like this one of the imperial family's never-varying tea time menu. The same plates of hot bread and butter have been on the same tea table since the days of Catherine the Great, recalled their friend. And in his diary, the brother-in-law Sandro left behind these delightful sentences. Nikolai's snore was mighty, worthy not just of the Tsar of all Russia, but the Tsar of all the universe. It's a world reimagined that begins to emerge. It's a character resurrected that comes into focus. My own trip to Russia actually helped my understanding as well. Landscapes speak and houses hold memories and secrets. And so at Sarkusela, the family residence, I wandered down shaded lanes and through lush gardens. I didn't learn just how the place looked, but I discovered how fragrant the lilacs are after a rain shower, and how the ornamental bridge creaks when you cross it, and how cool and dark those woods are even in late summer. Inside the house, inside the actual palace, I noted little things, like the carpet color in the drawing room, green, and how Alexandra's so-called mauve room is really more of a pale purple, the same color as those rain-touched lilacs. I also noticed something else, how the main tall gates of the palace opened directly onto the circular driveway, and I've been led to believe from primary sources that the palace sat in the middle of that 800-acre park, far from prying eyes. Not so. Every day the family could look through the iron gate's iron grillwork to the town just on the other side, and it gave me pause. The family was so close to their people. They were right there, just on the other side of the gate. Alexandra could actually look out the windows and see them. She could hear their voices. She could smell their cooking. So why did she feel more attachment to them? The question led me down entirely new paths of thought, and it actually ended up in resulting in the inclusion of first-hand worker and peasant accounts, and I put them under the title Beyond the Palace Gates. It was a small detail, but it sparked a new story, one that I had never imagined. At last, I was ready to write, or was I? I wasn't so sure, and so I challenged myself to reconstruct a typical day from each of my main characters, Nicholas, Alexander, and the children. If I could do that, separating and arranging those nuggets into some meaningful order, then I figured that I was ready. And while this part didn't make it into the book, I thought I would share it with you today. So here is Alexandra's day. It is October 1907. The sky above the Tsar's private park is rosy pink, the first rays of sunlight bathing the Alexander Palace in a golden haze. There comes a knock on the imperial couple's bedroom door. With a grunt, Tsar Nicholas rises from the bed he shares with his wife, Alexandra. Tiptoeing away, he dresses, eats breakfast, then heads to his study. Meanwhile, Alexandra snuggles deeper under the thick satin comforter. She sleeps for another hour until her chambermaid arrives with her morning tea. Propped up against the pillows, Alexandra sips and yawns. Then she asks for the writing table. Today, like every day, she composes long, emotional letters to her friends. She writes quickly, her scrawling handwriting moving across her thick, cream stationery. At her feet lays a shaggy Scottish terrier named Ira. Most people find Ira disagreeable. Little dog has the nasty habit of darting out from under chairs to snap at people's heels. but Alexandra dotes on her dog. She talks to him, plays with him, and carries him under her arm from room to room. Eva, she says, is her loving. Not until noon does she climb from the bed and move to her dressing room. Here rose a closet filled with expensive gowns arrayed, shelves loaded with hats and shoes, and trays sparkling with precious jewels. Even though she has 6 wardrobe maids to help her dress, she refuses to let anyone see her naked. So after one of them draws the bathwater, Alexandra closes the door and washes herself. Then she slips into a kimono and sits before the mirror to have her hair done. The maid combs out the Empress's dresses, arranging them simply and elegantly. Her clothing, too, is simple and elegant. Embroidered linen underwear, lace trimmed gowns, and low-heeled suede shoes. A dab of Atkinson's white rose perfume in her throat and each wrist completes her toilet. Now her friend Hannah arrives. Sometimes the two walk in the park, over the creepy ornamental pond, bridge, and down the shaded lanes through lush gardens drenched with the sun and white oaks. Other times they ride through tallest gates to the village that sits just on the other side. Do they toss coins to the hollow-cheeked peasants who beg beside the road? Do they even notice them? At 4 o'clock, Alexandra's back in the palace. This is the family's tea time. For the first time all day, the entire family comes together. Freshly scrubbed and wearing pristine white dresses, the 4 grand duchesses join their parents in the lilac dressing room. Alexandra's sailor suit also arrives. Alexandra pours the tea and hands around plates of hot bread and butter. Nicholas smokes and looks over the newspapers. The 3 girls labor over their needlework. And Anastasia and Alexei play with these tin soldiers on the thick green carpet. It is, says Nicholas, a happy family circle. All too soon, their time together is over. Nicholas returns to his study, the children go upstairs to play, and Alexandra heads to her dressing room to change and bathe for dinner. Dinner's precisely at 8. It's a movable feast, the servants carrying the dining room to whichever room happens to strike the Tsar's fancy that night. Nevertheless, Alexandra always appears at dinner in an evening gown and jewels. Diamonds sparkle in her hair, pearls coil around her throat. She looks every inch the Empress of all Russia. Dinner finished, the family retires to the drawing room. Sometimes they spend the evening pasting snapshots they've taken with their box cameras into red leather photo albums. Other times, Nicholas reads aloud to them. The day ends and servants bring an 11 o'clock tea. Then after an evening prayer, parents and children come off to bed. But Alexandra doesn't go right to sleep. Into the wee hours, she reads and munches on English biscuits. She feeds a few poems to Ira. She nudges her snoring husband. There are many unhappy days on the Empress's horizon. Days of war and revolution, and gut-wrenching worry over the health of her beloved son. But not today. Today has been a pleasant day. Reaching for another breath, Alexandra turns the page. A true story has been crafted from a collection of small yet mundane, yet oh so very human moments. My curiosity and wonder for the subject have found their footing in theme, interpretation, and vision. But one question remains. Who is interested in that? Because of this lovely, lovely honor, I no longer worry about the answer to that question. Never again will I choke on my raisinets. Instead, with a heartfelt thank you to the wonderful and hardworking Orbis Pictus Committee and to NCTE and its members, I can confidently and joyously reply, you are. Thank you.
Okay. Me. I'm Margaret
Keeper, and I'm chair of the first Charlotte Huck Award for Outstanding Fiction for Children up to age 12. It's a wonderful partner now to the Orbis Pictus Award, and I think it celebrates the values of literature that Charlotte passed on to so many of us. Literature that helps children see themselves in books, that sparks their imagination, that helps them understand the other in the world and other cultures and experiences. And I keep thinking that a certain man who were running for president today had read books like this as children. They wouldn't be so mean and angry. 2015 awards for outstanding. First of all, are my wonderful committee: Denise Davila, Pictus Dennis, Nancy Rosser, Dr. Siverson, Fran Wilson, and Angie Zapata. And first of all, our honor books. Material here, I hope I get this right. First, absolutely, almost. Lisa Graff. Yeah, come on. I so love this character. I had a little boy in 4th grade in California maybe 40 years ago who was just like me. He was a nice boy. He had no special talents. But I just saw him. And it was wonderful for me. So, congratulations. Awesome. Kwame Alexander. What a year you've had. For your first book. Even in the layout of the type reinforces the whole theme of the book, the relationship between boys, the game of basketball, and of course the relationship in the family. El Depo, written by Cece Bell. Of course, is not Cece Bell. She was planning to come, but had to back out at the last minute. But we love this too, and I love it especially because I have a student just like Cece. She had meningitis as a 2-year-old, and she grew up learning, not American Sign Language, but learning to read lips. And I had never, ever understood how difficult her life was until I read that book. So. The Farmer and the Clown. I don't think Marla is here, but I thought this was a brilliant picture book. One of the best I've seen in, well, at least the last 10 years. She just knows how to use the elements of art to communicate without any words. A really rich and deep relationship between this lonely old farmer and this little clown that comes into his life. And finally, Revolution. She said, I'm so proud. To read the anniversary of the Freedom Summer, and help me understand all over again what was going on in that area. And I have another student of mine has a father who grew up in that town, in Greenwood, and how strange it is that as a white middle class kid, you know what was that? Now, yeah. And now, for outstanding Tucky for rain. Some homonyms that describe Anne, but I couldn't come up with any. She's the only one of her kind. The other thing I would like to say though is I think she likes three things, just like this character of Rose. I think she likes dogs. I think she likes babysitters. And I think she likes dolls. She and her friend Laura Bagwell. So this book also represents all the layers that can be found in good literature for children. Not just a single character, but characters that you understand for all of their complexity. A child who is an outsider, who struggles with finding a place in her life, and who loves a dog deeply and finds it in herself to do the right thing when it comes to this dog. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here today, and especially to have the chance to express my thanks to many people involved with the story of Rose and Rain. But first I want to thank Barbara and the members of the committee who bestowed this honor on Rain. Every book is a collaboration, a group effort, and I wouldn't feel comfortable sending any story out into the world without the help of my editors, Liz Zabla and Jean Firewall. Conversations with them are like conversations with family, and they make each step of the editorial process enjoyable and thought-provoking. Thanks to the children and the staff at the Center for Spectrum Services in Kingston, New York, and especially to my friend Jamie Wolf, who co-founded the school. They all welcomed me into their classrooms where the children showed me their work and the therapists allowed them to observe lessons, and Jamie patiently answered my endless questions. And later she read the rough draft of Rain. Rain is the story of Rose Howard, an 11-year-old girl on the autism spectrum. She's on the high end of the spectrum, but she struggles mightily in her everyday life. She lives with an alcoholic father who's intermittently employed and who has little understanding of Rose's needs and her quirky behaviors. The Howards are isolated physically, and Rose is isolated emotionally as well. She attempts to make order of her baffling world by adhering to rules, by memorizing prime numbers, and by keeping a running list of homophones or homonyms. When her father brings home a stray dog he's found during a rainstorm, he gives her to Rose, saying that the dog is his gift to her. Rose, ever the rule follower, asks if they shouldn't try to find the dog's owner, but her father points out that the dog has no collar and thus no identification. So they keep the dog, and Rose names her Rain, a special name because it has two homonyms. Her own name, she has pointed out, has one homonym, while her father's doesn't have a homonym at all. Rain becomes not only Rose's emotional anchor, but her connection to the larger world. A year later, a hurricane hits her area, and Rain vanishes during the storm. Rose, once again cast adrift, soon rallies and devises a way to search for Rain. When she finds her, she also discovers the identity of Rain's original owners, and then has to make a heart-wrenching decision without the support of her father. Rain began with a character, Rose's character, and at first not much more than that. This is how most of my recent stories have begun, with the character and the plot. The characters come first and the plot follows along afterward. It's a good thing that my editors don't know much about my books at this stage. In Rose's case, I first began thinking about a young girl who's fascinated with hominids, which wasn't much of a stretch because I'll admit to being equally fascinated and keep lists of them. Others. So in the beginning, I was thinking of a quirky girl with unusual interests, but not a child on the autism spectrum. Next, I imagined Rose as a rule follower, and at that point, she began to present herself to me as possibly autistic. Her father took shape next, a forefather indeed, but an especially unsympathetic parent for Rose, who needs an emotional compass in her life. At last, Rose's uncle came into focus, exactly the kind of adult Rose does need and with whom she can relate. But I still didn't have a clear idea of Rose's story until Hurricane Irene hit upstate New York. Mildly just right there, and my area was not nearly as damaged by Superstorm Sandy in 2012 as it was by Irene in 2011. And as I walked up and down my road in the days following the storm and looked at washed out driveways and stone walls, at trees that had fallen on houses, and learned of all the people who had lost their homes, and later of all the pets who had become separated from their owners, the story for Rose finally began to take shape. I began to think about a dog lost during the storm. If she became separated from her owners, how might they be reunited? How might Rose, with her particular personality and gifts, orchestrate a search? Once I had worked out the details, I turned my attention to Rose's voice. How would she tell her story? Creating characters and finding their voices is my favorite part of the writing process. And Rose's voice, which I had thought might be challenging, came to me more easily than I had expected. Her straightforward and literal manner of thought helped to define the chapters and the story trajectory. However, although Rose's story flowed, she was not an easy character to write about. She was frequently annoying and frustrating, and yet I wanted her to be a character readers could understand and sympathize with. Rose's father was even more difficult to write about. He was complicated and difficult to define, and Liz and Jean and I refined his relationship with Rose at every stage, from outlining to revising. For all of these reasons, I felt very protective of Rose. I also felt a deep connection with her. I could see a lot of myself in her. Her dislike of commotion and distractions, not to mention her love of homophones and an unusual interest in numbers. Furthermore, I had given her a parent who was wrong for her, and then I took away Rain, her emotional anchor. But I feel that Rose rises above her challenges, and I hope readers find her story uplifting, that they realize Rose has a long road ahead of her, but see that she now has a positive support system and her first friend. So again, many thanks to everyone who helped shape Rose's story and to the members of the committee for her voice. Thank you.
And now for a moment that many of us have been waiting for a very long time, the announcement of the 2016 Orbis Pictus and Charlotte Award winners. I'd like to ask the two judges and Mark Cooper to return to the podium to announce the winners.
This is so exciting. On Thursday, the members of the 2016 Orbis Pictus Award Committee met, discussed, agreed, and disagreed, and finally voted to select the 2016 Orbis Pictus recommended books, honor books, and winner. I would please like to ask the 2016 Orbis Pictus Award Committee to stand and be recognized. The authors and illustrators of the books on the 2016 list will be acknowledged and celebrated during the 2016 NCTE convention in Atlanta. A handout listing the 2016 Orbis Pictus books will be available immediately following the luncheon, so you don't have to write anything down. The committee selected 8 recommended books. Courage and Defiance, Stories of Spies, Saboteurs, and Survivors from World War II Denmark by Deborah Hutchinson and published by Scholastic Press. Game Changer, John Clement and the Secret Game by John Coy, illustrated by Randy Burke, published by Carol Rhoda Books. And I think John Coy is in the... The House of Jane Built, a story about Jane Addams by Tanya Restell, illustrated by Catherine Brown, published by Henry Holt and Company. Most Dangerous, Daniel Ellsberg and the Secret History of the Vietnam War by Steve Sheinkin, published by Northwood Press. My Favorites, Robert Adams' Journey to Alvin Ailey by Lisa Tyne Ransom, illustrated by James E. Ransom, published by Simon & Schuster Books for Young Readers. Raindrops Roll by Faithful Police Air, published by Beach Lane Books. Trombone Shorty by Troy Trombone Shorty Andrews, illustrated by Brian Collier, and published by Abrams Books for Young Readers. And Nothing for Webster. Noah Webster and His American Dictionary by Tracy Byrne, illustrated by Forrest Kulikov, published by Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. The committee selected 5 honor books. Funny Bones. The State of the Dead Televised by Duncan Tomatillo, published by Abrams Books for Young Readers. Growing Up Paper. Somewhere. Illustrated by Bruno and published by Candlewood Press. Published by Chronicle Books, and I think I just saw the walls right there. And Terrible Typhoid Mary. By Susan Campbell Barletta, published by Hope Mifflin Rockport. And what all? The 2016 NCTE Orbis Pictus Award for Outstanding Nonfiction for Children is Drowned City. Katrina in New Orleans by Don Brown, published by Fulton Mifflin Harper Books for Young Readers. Congratulations.
All right, I'm not sure who exactly is here, so if you're in the room and I call your name, please stand up and wave. Okay, we too choose 8 recommended books. Oh, and this is my committee. When you stand, and the people from the last year's committee stand. And So this is a lot of work and a lot of reading, but it's a real joy to work with these people. Okay, recommended. Circus for Candace, written by Kathy Beasley and published by Dow Books. Boulet Meets the Ghost Raccoon, written by Katie Camilla, illustrated by Kristen Jesus, and published by This is one that especially illustrates the kinds of readers that we're hoping to please with good books. And I see this as perfect for the second, third grader who's moving into chapter books and more fluent reading. And then Crenshaw, written by Catherine Applegate and published by Tonda. Elliot, and published by Henry Holton. Last stop on Market Street. Illustrated by Christian Ransom, John Robinson, I'm sorry. And it's published by J.P. Putnam and Sons Books. And finally, George. George, written by Alex Gino, published by Scholastic Press. Sidewalk Flowers, written by Joanna Paulson, illustrated by Sidney Smith, published by Grounded Books. And Two White Rabbits, written by Jaro. I hope I pronounced that right. Hyro, I'm sorry, I should have known that. Pachaco, and published by Grounded again. So, and then 5 honor books. Little Tree, written by Lauren Howard. New Shoes. Written by Susan Lynn Meyer, published by Holiday House. Favorite Things. By Jennifer Richard Jacobson and published by Candlewood. Strictly No Elephants. Illustrated by Tate Yu, published by Simon & Schuster. We got a lot of elephants. Tiger Boy, written by Natalie Perkins, illustrated by Jade Hogan, published by Charles. Showed up, the board up. 2016. Stella Western. And she came from another session, so we're really glad that she showed up. Was able to show up to be recognized. Thank you.
Well, that was exciting news. I hope you all had as much fun as we did. I just want to announce a couple of things that as Cindy said, there's honor book sessions. The honor book sessions, both of the Orbis Pictus Awards and the Charlotte Huck Award, are happening right after lunch from 2:45 to 5:30. They're great sessions. I encourage you to attend. And they'll talk more about the honor books that you saw. And the Poetry Award session featuring the award, the honor and award poetry books session, that is tomorrow, 10:30 to 11:45 a.m. On behalf of the elementary section, thank you all for attending and being here and enjoying this.
We look forward to seeing you next year, 2016, to honor the award winners from this year. So thank you all.